All right, so I've taken time off from the series I Was a Groomsman in order to work on other projects, mainly homesteading, and you can check it out on my channel. However, I'm determined to finish this series, even if it's bit by bit. What takes us the longest amount of time really is the scripting. So taking a concept, going from start to finish, and keeping pretty much everything like on track, on point, and organized. However, I'm going to have to re-script this breakdown, even though I'd done it a few months ago. Tonight, I want to talk on the subject of dynasties versus curses, as it relates to having been a groomsman at my cousin's wedding last year, November 2024. It's super important to me that we do this breakdown in particular. And so the subject of dynasties versus curses came to me while at the wedding reception. Basically, the wedding reception was in Durham, North Carolina, and it was held at a bar. I believe it was on a Saturday. And so we had all just given our wedding speeches. And the speech I had given, it's on my YouTube if you want to go to my earlier videos. Now, after everyone had given their speeches, it was time to party. So the bride and groom, they had done their dance, and after that, everyone else converged on the dance floor. I need to preface this by saying that our families came together like peanut butter and jelly. The reception was a grand time for the most part. However, we wouldn't have a story if there was not conflict involved. All stories involve problems and conflicts, so let's move forward. So I was standing on the dance floor, basically just waiting to get down. Had a couple of drinks. I just pretty much didn't screw up my cousin's mission, didn't bring any embarrassment to his name, didn't do anything that would have the wedding called off. So I had done my part. It's time to go have fun. However, I had noticed something when I had looked at the photo booth toward where both the families were standing. I noticed that there was a divide. Now, the divide that I noticed was not a racial divide, and the heart of the matter is much deeper than that. And so I noticed that the girls on my family side, the Washington side, almost all have children. At the time of my cousin's wedding, November 2024, none of the boys on my side, my cousin's side of the family, the Washington side, had children. So now, none of the children born on my side of the family were really born in wedlock, which is why it's a big deal to my uncle for my cousin to get married to his now wife, Nikki. All the girls, all my uncle's girls had children. None of the boys had children. And all of the boys are older than 30. Well, except for Mason. He's pushing 30, but most of the boys are older than 30. Now, keep in mind, because this is very important. So, on one side of the family has many grandchildren, but no husband. The other side, well, the other family, this family that my cousin had married into, they have two daughters. And so one daughter was childless before she married my cousin, with the intent of having children. And so there's at least of a semblance of a plan in place to provide the children with a stable and supportive family structure. Now, I don't know my new family very well. Obviously, I don't know every single detail because I'm in South Carolina. Some are in North Carolina, others are in California and Wisconsin. However, I can infer from their actions that carrying children to term without having a husband and commitment would not be acceptable to them. Moving forward, the second daughter is not married. However, I can infer that her being married is by choice and not from a lack of preparation. Both daughters carry themselves with like a particular type of class, even though both of them are not quote unquote pure. A standard had been set on what would be acceptable and what would not be acceptable in that particular family. Now, both daughters, we can infer, have been taught on some level or another what the assignment is. In other words, both daughters were at least trained to some degree to build a dynasty. If you're going to do something, you're going to do it the right way. Dynasties basically are a function of mindset and not race. Moving forward, mindsets are really the heart of this video. And mindsets determine how powerful a person does or does not become, which really is one of the themes of this channel. It's mindsets that pass down to their children, who in turn pass down mindsets to their children. I'm not really going to spend this video on dynasties because many of us have spent time in grade school talking about the subject in itself. You can open any history book and learn about people who've started from nothing and have built dynasties. We will turn our attention to curses, not because we love to dwell in negativity, but we want to basically study the consequences of doing things in a particular manner so that we can correct behavior if at all possible. So curses involve basically poverty, suffering, and punishment. Basically, to be cursed means that the people who suffer the most, the children will either have to start over at go, or will have to start behind whenever they are born. So basically, they are born and they are already born with a disadvantage or multiple disadvantages. There will never be anything that's passed down that will stop the infinite loop of suffering. And I say suffering because it requires, I say infinite loop of suffering because it requires a conscious effort in order to break a curse. Land, wealth, and knowledge can be passed down from generation to generation. Each subsequent generation can prove upon where the last generation left off, as curses are being broken in real time. Children basically are no longer being punished from the mistakes of the people who had came from before them. With my cousin's marriage to Nikki, there's at least an attempt to build a dynasty, happier children, better functioning adults, a plethora of positive things through the support of both families. So it's not just him, it's not just her, it's not just um, my cousin's side of the family, it's not just her side of the family. It's a coming together of different peoples who are basically are on the same accord. And so the goal is, for my cousin at least, what he told me many years ago, is to bring awesome humans into the world. And maybe those awesome humans can set better examples than a generation who had come from before them. Um, and with that being said, best of luck to you, my cousin Ricky, on your mission.